G'day punters, welcome to another huge edition of All In. I'm joined by Brodie Nickson from Sky Racing and Dean Watling from the Barrier Attendant. We're missing a man today. Young Lewis Willoughby's down in South Australia living the dream. But how was the weekend, Brodie? Long weekend, how's it been treating you?
G'day, boys. Yeah, beautiful weather in Sydney. We had a fair bit of rain on Saturday leading into the 2-year-old races and the triple treater Group 1s down there. But overall, it's been a fantastic weekend. The Mrs. got top rank there, so I'd explain to her that why she only got half a cast. So that was a long drive home on the way to work after.
Dean Watling, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Gannon. Brodie, it's great to jump on with you. At least you sort of turn up. And I tell you what, the only one missing Louis this week's the all-in bookies. They'd be disappointed he's not here to give a tip that doesn't run this week.
Maybe he's just on a cut from tab. Who knows, boys? Who knows? I'll tell you what, it was an absolute massive weekend. For those of you who aren't aware, we are recording on a Monday afternoon, evening here. But some things do change in this game. It's a bit dynamic, but here we are. Huge weekend of racing. Brodie, I'll start with you. What was your highlight?
Oh, the Group 1s, they're outstanding, especially those ones in Sydney, the photo finishes. As I said, I was there trackside for the Epsom, and just the excitement, the energy around the place. Everyone was standing up. Everyone had their breath held. It was fantastic racing. The 2-year-olds were outstanding. Some of those performances, like I understand the first win on the card was very impressive. The Colt at Platinum Jubilee, that last 100 metres was outstanding. So just all across the board, and even Melbourne was a wonderful day's racing down there. So spring is well and truly alive.
And Dino, you love the 2-year-olds, mate. Were they the best part of your day, or did you find something else for the punters?
Oh, my favourite part of the day was the Premier Stakes. I think the Everest is the big talking point at the moment. We've just seen in the media Snap Dancers being ruled out with an injury, so that creates even more talk about the race. But I just loved it. Lost and Running, Master Crusader back to his best on the inside. Marzu held his own with him, and Kementari snuck up there. So I love the whole build up to the Everest. It's so good for racing, and I think the best part about it, all punters can sort of follow horses leading into the race. That's the biggest thing. So my highlight, the Premier, mate.
Tell you what, that's an enormous segue. We'll get to the horses to follow in a minute. But I tell you, huge. Now, Nature Strip. Didn't see it. Sitting at home, Eduardo sitting at home. From what you saw in the Premier Stakes, what do you reckon? Can they beat Nature Strip? Let's forget second up. Let's say the horse is flying at its peak. Brodie, we'll give it to Lewis Willoughby in one word. Can they beat Nature Strip?
They can. He was outstanding first up, Nature Strip. He's going to be hard to beat, but I was chatting to a few friends after that race, and you know what? Lost and Running. He's got improvement to come. He was outstanding. Master Crusader was Master Crusader. I think the drier the deck is, the more interesting this race gets. And I'll touch on my horse to follow very soon. But that race, as Dino mentioned, the Premier was terrific. And especially if we get a couple more 3-year-olds heading into the race, which I understand we will, or we might, currently in discussions, I believe. So hopefully this race will really light up ahead of the Everest. After a couple of weeks ago, we thought, oh, geez, it's one-horse race.
Dino, what are your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, I agree. I think Nature Strip on his best, they can't beat him, but I doubt he will bet his bet. He's a pattern horse, but I think there's a couple of knocking balls. I think the dry track's the key. Dry track for Master Crusader and Lost and Running. They're the two biggest things, and Jacquino. I think if it's wet, that brings them back a length or two, and that's probably the difference of them beating Nature Strip. But on his day, I don't think anyone beats him.
Yeah, it's really interesting for mine. I think we've got it surrounded, boys, in the last few weeks and over the last months. I think we found Nature Strip. We sort of tipped up Master Crusader as one to follow at big odds, and Lost and Running's always been one of ours as well. So for mine, I don't think the winner comes from anything outside those three. The weather will play a massive part in it. It'll be very, very interesting. And speaking of weather, we'll touch on it soon. What do we got? 35 to 70 mils of rain coming with flash flood warnings. Fair dinkum, just cannot catch a trick in this state. Anyway, boys, one more for you. We're going to go to Melbourne here. Mr. Maestro in the Derby. Home, Moral, does it win? Does it just lob from here? Gee, that was impressive again on Saturday.
I thought you'd bring up, of course, you bring up a winner that you've tipped up. So I haven't seen that on the run sheet, but I'm glad you primed him. No, that was a good win. I think the only knock for it was maybe a wet track is the only way it gets beat. I think dry track from that, he went from that Flemington really heavy tan to a dry track on Saturday, and he absolutely bolted in. So he's a good horse. Good find. Well found, mate. Brodie?
I agree with you, Mr. Maestro. I backed, who's that, Sid Kapakiri or something 2 runs ago at Flemington. I thought I had him cold, and he was really strong late, Mr. Maestro. And on the dry track, I tell you what, Damian Lane, if a jockey isn't moving aboard a horse, Damian Lane, maybe Craig Williams or Huey Bowman, if Damian Lane's sitting pretty on a horse heading into the straight, you're almost laughing. He just sits so still on them. And Mr. Maestro, as soon as they came around the bend, you just tore up your ticket if you're on anything else. He was not getting beaten.
Absolutely. And Dino, it was the 4th thing in weekend review on the run sheet, mate. So give yourself an uppercut. Maybe you get the slaughter of the week. Righto, Brodie, give us a horse to follow, and Dino will get horse to follow from you.
There were some outstanding performances. Now, I've got 2 because one, I think you're going to have to wait a few weeks for. Apache Chase, the rain's about. The Hunter is his perfect race, 1,400 metres. If they get a dry deck at Newcastle, he hates wet ground. That run in the Premier Stakes, we're talking up the horses out of it, heading to the Everest to challenge Nature Strip. Apache Chase was just as good, only beaten a couple of lengths, sitting on speed on a heavy deck. He hates it. If we get dry ground in the Hunter, he's going to be very hard to catch. And another horse, Realm of Flowers. She's been going massive this preparation. She's got a staying win in Melbourne very, very soon. I don't know what race it is, but she will win something during the spring. I think she's crying out for a dry deck as well.
I like both of them. They were Realm of Flowers was really good first up. I think the staying races are at the forefront too of sort of those type of horses. I don't think we're going to see much else coming out of the woodwork. So I like them too. I've got 2 from Sydney. Numerian was outstanding. They went a lickety split in the Hill Stakes, and he stuck on to the end. You saw Yonkers and Kiss the Bride, I think it was, who sat on pace with him. They finished 13 lengths plus last. So I think he's a Caulfield Cups horse. He can probably challenge Smoke and Romans for mine. I hope they go that way, dry track on pace. And the other one out of the 2-year-old race, Perfect Proposal, I think it was. Another one that went hard up front, stuck on. The winner come from a while back. So there's 2 we can follow, Gannon.
That's awesome, boys. So we've got a Hunter winner. We've got a couple of stayers heading down south. Then I had a question for you without notice. Sorry about this, mate, but Hosier, everyone's just going on about it. Oh, what a win. How impressive. Fair income. It's got the claim. I haven't gone back and checked the data, but did they go that slow that you could have led them up?
I haven't looked at that race data-wise, but I think it was underplayed in the market. Like it was $7. And I think everyone's talking up that it's going to win the big dance, which I think it will. I think that's got this race at mercy, but I don't know. I found it, trumpet, but
and good on you. And that's the game, right? So you found it. Dylan Gibbons, who's a jet on those front runners, just there with a claim, absolute freak. He's flying, but it had every possible and some, stacked them up, kicked. I just don't know how you can declare it for the big dance. Anyway, we'll move on. That's my in the bin. Hosier for the big dance in the bin. Right, boys. We're going to go to Saturday. Brodie doesn't like that.
Shadow Devil got rolled.
Oh, sorry, mate. He's on one. Sorry, buddy. We're going to go to the Saturday all-in markets. Now, as I said before, we've got a Caulfield. The rail is in true position. We've got 15 to 30 millimetres of rain. We don't have a resident Caulfield expert in Louis. He's down in the vineyards of South Australia at the moment. What do you reckon, boys? Before we get Louis, is he a rosé man or is he a Shardy man?
Ooh, rosé.
Yeah.
Yeah, rosé. He's a beer man. He's a craft beer man, so rosé would be his go for sure.
Absolutely no shock in that. Lift your game, Lewis. All right, so we're going to go to the Caulfield Guineas. This will be the first race that we cover. 1,600 metres, Group 1 for the 3-year-olds. Market courtesy of TAB. We go Golden Mile 350, Berkeley Square $5. And then, honestly, a list as long as my arm. Anything out to 15s and beyond. I tell you what, there is one runner here that interests Dino. I know that is Zoo Tiger at 26, and there's one there that really interested me, and I have no idea if it's going there. Dino might know. Flag of Honour at $51. Dino, we'll go to you first for the Caulfield Guineas.
Yeah, I don't understand how Zoo Tiger and Golden Mile are so far apart. Obviously, Zoo Tiger beat Golden Mile last start. They're up on pace together. They went lickety-split there in the Golden Rose, and that's the form one you sort of want to follow for mine. I think the Sydney horses have the measure of the Melbourne horses, and so do the New Zealand horses. So the Melbourne form's in a bit of trouble, and I think Zoo Tiger around that price. I just don't understand how there's such a big gap. He's versatile, hasn't handled a really heavy track, but he's got real soft six. So I'm happy enough to side with Zoo Tiger at a big price, just purely on the price factor. Brodie?
I agree with you. I think the Sydney horses have got the wood over the Melbourne ones. This is all track respective now. I think you're getting Zoo Tiger. That was extremely brave. You put a line through his second up run, he heads to the Golden Rose, much firmer in the betting, and he comes out of that Golden Rose run. He's almost, if he started $10, $15, he'd be single figures in this market. I think he's better than a lot of the Melbourne horses. And best of luck to him, mate Dave. He's sitting on hundreds at the moment, so he'll be certainly cheering on that horse. Now, there's a couple of horses I think certainly do deserve a spec. Now, Mullane, if there's a dry deck, which we're obviously not going to get, I thought Mullane was building really nicely. He was a bit unlucky. Now, there's two horses one out of the Golden Rose. I think Political Debate, he was really good late. I think he's the Derby horse. I know he's Coolmore 3-year-old. They don't often go that way, but if they go to the Derby, that thing should win. Political Debate, I think he's going really well late. But Osipenko, if they get dryish ground, I've always had a massive opinion of this colt. I've just ranted and raved about him his whole career since his first career start. I didn't find him on debut, but I've got to stick fat with him, and $21, keen to find out.
Any idea if Flag of Honour is going to head down that way, Dino? I noticed about 18th on order of entry and $51. Jeez, I just need a nudge. I'll tell you what I'll be doing, Dino. If you don't know, I'm just going to have a very small each way play, and if it doesn't lob, it doesn't lob.
I think the Spring Champions is the grand final for it. I don't know if it might back up into the gloaming this week potentially and then go Spring Champions. But yeah, I think Spring Champions is the overall. They're tossing up between the two. So, yeah.
And Caulfield Guineas was not on the radar anymore?
No, they'll toss up between grand final being Spring Champions and grand final being Guineas. But looking at the run on the weekend, I think they'll go the way of the 1,800 metre to the 2,000.
No, don't. Go the Caulfield Guineas on the back up. Do it. Sorry, Brodie.
I was just about to ask. I was really keen on him on Saturday. I think a lot of people were. What was your thoughts on the run, Gannon?
I just. Sorry, did you say different? But needed a different barrier. You know?
The inside barrier, I thought he drew one. I think that was his poison. I don't think that inside around that band or anything like that. I think he's really good. I think we'll get a price about him wherever he goes.
Hence why I just want to send the 7-day backup. And I think there's a number of horses that were sort of victims of those circumstances. And what do I make of the run? It's what you'd expect from what we were, dished up. So I really want to see it lob on Saturday. What about you, Brodie? Are you against it, or did you just thought it was really fair, or?
I thought it was fair. I would have loved to. I was just through pocket talk. I would love to see him hold on to third. But yeah, no, I thought it was fair. I've got to sit down and watch the replay again and go through the numbers and the data properly. But I thought he ticked a few boxes. Those runners down the outside, as you mentioned, the race shape was against him. Like normally, once you're landing in that spot with Hugh Bowman, you're laughing. But those horses down the outside, they were really suited by the race. Yeah,
it's one of those things. Like I find them really hard to assess when you know that. Before they jump, that they're probably no chance. You're just watching going, I don't really know what we do with it here. But for mine, if we can get on a 7-day backup, I think we're away. Righto, boys, we're going to go to the Might and Power Stakes here. 2,000 metres, weight for age, Group 1. Whew, what a contest. Animo, once again, courtesy of Tab. Animo, $2. Zaki, 5. Alligator Blood, 6. My mate Thunderstruck, 6. Moonga jumped out of the ground last start, 11. Beno, 15. Mr. Brightside, 15. And non-conformist, $51. Looks like we're going to have a small field. I'll tell you what, we'll go Dean Watling. You can kick us off. But before you go, I'm going to ask you a question. I want a tip from you, and I just want to flat out, is $2 Animo the stupidest price you've ever seen? Yes or no?
Yes.
Brodie?
Nah, it's not the stupidest.
No. I'll tell you why I don't like it. For starters, the horse was 3 or 5 lame. As far as we knew, it was going like a bus. And now you want us to take $2 now. It was. I just can't see how it's less than $2 on Saturday. Anyway, let's cover the race. Dino, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. If we knew if the Animo was going to turn up at its best, then $2 would be probably a great bet in this race. But the factor that we don't just makes it a silly price for mine, like you mentioned. I think Zaki's the value here. He was great. 14 to 1,800 metres. I probably underestimated that step up with a 3-week break off a heavy first up run. He just sort of was founding late, got copped slap over the whip on the nose by Tim Clark on Alligator Blood. So there's a couple of things that he just didn't like there. I think he's one who's going to explode third up here. Wet track, obviously not ideal, but he gets through it. Soft track's fine. Heavy, different story. But I think Zaki's pushed out to a big price here. Like if he runs well last start, he's half those odds. So Zaki for mine, the might power could be the race of the spring, to be honest. It looks a small field, but an absolutely outstanding field. So Brodie, which way did you lean?
In regards to the Animo thing, you're spot on. That's why I don't think it's too much of a stupid price, because he's 3 out of 5 lane, but they said he was fine straight away. And Vin Cox, Godolphin, they're not, you can't really doubt him too much. So Animo's fine. $2 is a spoil, but I couldn't take the price. As Dino and you boys have both highlighted, I completely agree with you. I couldn't take the price myself, but I can understand why he is that. Zaki, I agree. Caulfield worries me. I think he's been there once, and that was the one defeat he had last spring at $1.10 or something. But I think Benno can run a bottler. I'm not too sold on that Victorian form. And Benno, he was ready to go last week, and he was going to start firm in the market. He'll be really strong late. And I've got my doubts on Mr. Brightside. Nonconformist doesn't look to be going any good. Mwanga was okay late, but before that, you couldn't back him. Thunderstruck, few doubts on the trip as well. Animo doubts, Zaki doubts. I think Benno, he could be the one to blouse them late. I think he at $15, I'm keen to find out. He'll be strong.
Wet track suits as well, doesn't it?
Love that, Brodie.
Absolutely.
$15 all in play. Brodie Nickson, welcome to the party, son.
Just make sure they're given the right medication.
Oh, wow. Whack. Well, I reckon Animo, no good at the $2. I think if it was a horse that I was going to back, I mentioned with Dino, we mentioned it on the show with Hawley not long ago. I thought Zaki was half a run short last time round. I think now he'll be ready to go at the $5 mark. Would be happy to bet, but you might start $4.50. I don't really see any opportunities there, so I'm happy to roll with you boys and let the punters cheer you guys on. We're going to head to Sydney now. We're going to go to Randwick with 35 to 70 millimetres of rain forecast. As we mentioned before, we just cannot take a trick. The rail is out 8 metres. Now, this really brings a couple of things into play here. You want to be on pace, right? The best going and a heavy track is that 6 to 10. But now you can get to the outside rail, which you don't see very often. But when they get there, that's better. That's the best going. It always has been. It has been for the last, since I was watching races the last 20 years. You just got to get there on an 8. Can you get there? It's not as easy, but if you can, really, really interesting setup there. Just quickly, thoughts on that, Brodie?
Yeah, no, I agree. I always am a firm believer in the heavy decks. I'd rather be in front than behind. But yeah, it's just going to be the pattern of the day. It's going to be the ones where you're going to have to, unless you're super confident on a wet track, you're going to have to play late.
Yeah, great point.
Like that. And Dino, would you agree with the summation that it's either, you've got to be on pace anyway, moving, and even to get out, you need some momentum to be getting out to that outside anyway, right?
Yeah, momentum's the biggest thing. You just imagine yourself, if you get stopped in your tracks running on mud, it's very hard to pick yourself up and go again. So very key point, and it's probably, it just shows, like Brodie mentioned, it's probably one of those tracks that if we do get that rain, that it's a sit and watch, see what the pattern is and see what horses are suited to be betting prospects.
Love it, boys. We're going to go to Silver Eagle, which we have. Go to see the tab once again. Mr. Mozart, $3.50. Espiona, $6. Converge, $8. Kiss Some, $8. Star Tontes, $8. And Valana, $8. And a whole long list of other runners, including Lock Eagle, 11 and beyond. We'll go to Brodie Nickson first.
Yeah, straight down the bottom as well, Gannon. We can back up on her again at 200 to 1 if we want. But I think the rain's really disappointing because I know she's been a money muncher, but Espiona last start was outstanding. I was so keen to find her wherever she went. And we spoke about this last time. I think I was on the podcast. Espiona, she lays in horribly. 1,400 metres at Flemington. That was the scene of the best run to date. She didn't really lay in or out at all from what I remember there. But every time she runs in Sydney, she does things wrong. So I was kind of hoping they would go to maybe Flemington next week and go 1,400 metres there, because I don't care what price they bet. I think she's absolutely airborne at the moment, and I think she'll be winning. But the wet deck is just such a worry. You'd have to look at someone like Mr. Mozart, who ploughed through the wet during the winter. He's going to be awfully hard to beat. He's on speed. He did everything wrong. I don't know what happened there. First up, he done things wrong in Melbourne, but that was the first time he'd really played up in Sydney last start.
Oh, yeah. Might have been a operator error there, pilot error there, wasn't there?
Crook.
W Pike. He's at a mare. Anyway, we move on.
Yeah, so he'd have to be the bet at the moment with the rain forecast, but just want to mention Espiona. I don't care where she goes. I'm convinced she's airborne. I think third up. I think she's been a money muncher so far, but I just want to find her. Her 2 runs to date have been excellent, albeit the meta-wise haven't been the best.
I'll tell you what there too, Brodie, another one to add in the mix there. I think Espiona and Fangirl, if we can just get them both down to Flemington, they'll both be winning. Dino, what are your thoughts on the Silver Eagle?
Yeah, it's a race you probably don't want to chime in early. The Foundlock Eagle, it's been hammered in from 26s and 9s after that midweek win. Yeah, it's a race for mine. Mr. Mosaic is the horse I like, but I think we'll get better than 380 come Saturday anyway. So he's the one who's going to be up on pace, handles the wet, and with a better ride first up, I think he wins that race quite well and probably starts shorter in this. So tricky race to sort of chime in early, so I'll stay out, but I'll back Mr. Mosaic come Saturday as long as he draws well.
Yeah, I'm with you, Dino. Mr. Mozart for mine. I'll tell you, there's one horse that I really, really wanted to follow. I'm not sure if it's actually going to lob here, but Mink's Moment was huge last start. It's 26s now. I don't think that price would change anyway, punters, so just wait till it lines up. If it doesn't even show here, if it finds an easy race, it will be winning very soon. Right, Brodie Nickson, best all-in play for this Saturday?
This rain is just a killer in Sydney. I was really keen on. I've been one of his fanboys for a long time. I've been Perfect Thought's biggest fanboy for a very, very long time. I think this weekend up to 1,800 metres. I understand he had a little bit of a setback before that run at Newcastle, where he found heavy ground and he put a complete line through that. So I was really keen to find him, but the wet ground makes it awfully tough. I think Williamsburg, if we get that rain, $3.50 on the quick backup up to the 1,800 metres. I've never been a fanboy of the horse, but it's hidden flag of honour. It just ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, love that. And hard to disagree. It was pretty impressive. Set weights as well is a massive, massive help. Dean Watling, what's your best bet for all-in bet for Saturday?
I'm going to go Zoo Tiger in the Guineas. I just think the price is ridiculous. I think he can't run a bad race. So happy enough on a skinny week, I thought, all in. Zoo Tiger's my best all-in play, Gannon.
What about that one you found in the Roman Consul, Dino?
Yeah, another one you've stolen from me. Been reading me black book notes, and then you've tipped it up to Twitter, and we've lost all the price. So that should be slaughter of the week by you too.
Yeah, no, cop that on the chin. Slaughter of the week. Oh, look, because the show was recorded late and obviously not getting out till tomorrow morning, I thought I'd share the love. That was Salus at $26. It's now into about 11. So sorry if you didn't get a piece of it, guys. Just get on Twitter and follow. It's not that hard. My best all-in play will come in the Niverson Heresy, around $11 mark. This horse was a very, very good winner, and it beat a horse that you might know, Zapateo, in the PJ Group 3 PJ Bell last prep on a heavy 9. I reckon that's good enough to be winning this. So what have we got? Heresy, $11. Best all in play. Right, boys, we're going to go to Wednesday best bets. Brodie, kick us off. We're all going to Canterbury. We're going to absolutely fill up on Canterbury. What do you got for us?
Race 1, number 6, Ring Ahoy, $2.25. I can't believe we're getting this price. Ignacio, I've backed it every single time. I can't do it again. It was quite poor last start. Ruiner, $3.70. He'll loom up. It won't win. There's nothing else really in that race. So Ring Ahoy, I had my notes after its first few runs. Just get it out of a further ground. It's been building nicely. It will run on the quick up after running last week behind Stylized. I think that horse is a very good stayer in the making. I was keen on Built that day. It ran really well up the inside, but this horse did when it came from last on a day not many made ground. So I think Ring Ahoy, J-Mac aboard for the first time, 4th up. A little bit of rain about. Hopefully there's not too much, but he's the son of Sebring. Oh, just $2.25. I can't believe the price.
As you're talking, Brodie, I'm looking at going 7-day backup, J-Mac on first time, best gear change in racing, by Sebring, loves the wet. Wow. Like it. Dino, you got one in race 2. What do we got?
Yeah. Firstly, in that race 1, Condre, the number 2 horse, goes around in Goulburn tomorrow. Is mighty hard to beat. So maybe just wait on the price for deductions on that. That's the only thing in race 1, but looks very well suited. Mine comes up race 2, number 1, Shalard. Very good first up in a nice race at Warwick Farm behind Democracy Manifest, who runs around today. So good form lines out of that. I think Cinderella Days has had his chance. He's too short, and this horse tried up like a rocket prior, gets the claim. So race 2, number 1, Shalade for me, Gannon at Canterbury.
Well, we're just going to go race 1, race 2, and then we're going to go straight into race 3. We're just going to fill up, follow, don't take anything out, just go all in. Race 3, number 3, Stalking at the $4. This horse had absolutely no chance last start. It was on a good track, probably not suitable for it anyway. It's a good wet tracker. That was over 1,300 metres. Gets up to the, what are we racing on there? The 1580, I think that'll be now, with the rail out 8 metres. And Rachel King's flying. And this horse goes very well second up. So there's your 3 winners. Consecutive races, round 1, 2, and 3. Boys, thank you so much. It's been a huge show. Any final thoughts to finish up, Dino?
What have I got for us? No, I got nothing this week. I'm dry. Nothing.
Brodie, any wisdom?
No, I've literally just, as you're speaking, I've got my bet to get ready for Zoo Tiger. You guys are, I've had to jump on as well. I think the weather will suit him as well. But also with Stalking, your best bet, I was going to ask Dino about it as well. Its trial behind Animat was really nice. I can't remember it really trialling too well before leading into preparation. So I think it might be in for its best prep yet.
Yeah, I like it. That's the biggest thing with trials for me, especially those horses. You can get a great guide how to trial first prep and how to trial second prep and improvements straight away. So no, agree, all ends there. Really good.
And I tell you what, it had a run on a heavy track last prep that will dead set put 4 in these. So anyway, punters, that's a good steer. There's a few winners there. So I hope you have a fill up, and we will see you again next week. Thanks, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, boys.